Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Arfat and today I would like to discuss the creation story based on the book of Genesis, both in the Old Testament and the Hebrew Bible. It is the first book of the book of Moses, supposedly, according to traditionalists, which is the first book of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament, Genesis all the way to Deuteronomy. According to Christian and Hebrew apologists, these books were written by Moses based on the Jewish narrative. But based on the Christian narrative, it was Jesus who actually revealed this book to Moses in Mount Sinai. Okay? This is the apologists' view, the Orthodox Jews and quote-unquote Orthodox Christian, whatever that means. But academics have a different point of view. And today I will demonstrate why the academics' theory is much more plausible and it makes more sense than the traditionalist view. In these couple of videos, which I will include as a series, hopefully, we will be discussing the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of quote-unquote Moses, in the Hebrew and the Old Testament. Now, if we look at Genesis 1 here, verse 3, it says, I'm reading from the New King James Version, "Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day." Now this is the first day. God created something new every day, and he rested on the 7th day. If we go to Genesis 1, verse 14, this was after God had created more things. And then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it was so. Then God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Now, if general readers, without anyone pointing this out to them, will definitely read this verse and not notice anything. But if you analyze the text here, God already created light on the first day. Because, let there be light, and there was light. Verse 3 of Genesis chapter 1. But then if we go to chapter 1, verse 14, God created light, but God had already created light in the first place. And so what could be the possible explanation for these kind of things? There are many interpretations. Some apologists say that, this is God created again. The text is just repeating, like we found sometimes in the Tanakh, the Pentateuch, especially the book of Deuteronomy, repeating some of the laws in Leviticus as well, even though with slight variance. We will get to that. But scholars are not convinced. But what scholars have came up with is called the documentary hypothesis. This is a really complicated topic. If you are not into academia, you will probably not know this. Majority of churchgoers will not know anything about the documentary hypothesis, or they refuse to know more about the documentary hypothesis. But I'm very convinced, I'm 100% convinced that the documentary hypothesis actually makes sense. Even though it is an hypothesis, but once you actually start learning a little bit of Hebrew, you start reading the text and you analyze them. Even if you analyze them based on a minimal level, like what I just did there, pointing out to you that, hold on a second, God already created light, And what does it mean that God created another light? How can, if God created another light in Genesis 1:14, then how can there be light? How can there be day and night without light? Okay, and so it doesn't really make proper sense. And so the best explanation is the documentary hypothesis. And I'll just briefly present to you that I'll use just the book of Genesis. Okay, a lot of scholars believe that the book of Genesis was written in two portions. One is the Yahweh source, okay, and one is the Elohim source. What does this mean? Okay, both Elohim and Yahweh is the name for God, but it is actually a different author. Okay, even though it is very complicated to explain, but let me just try and explain to you. Basically, the Yahweh source is called the J source, okay, and then the Elohim source from Elohim, the Hebrew Elohim, it is the E source, so J and E. Okay, which one was written first? We don't know. Okay, we are not really sure, but both of these sources came from around 850 BCE, which is after the time of quote unquote historical David, okay, which is in the year 1000 BCE. So what happened was that the Pentateuch was firstly written around the year 800, and this is the opinion of a majority of the academics out there. And there are many different sources that have been combined to form the 5 books of Moses. I'll just present 4 here. The Yahweh or the Yahweh source, which is the J or the Y, the Elohim source, which is the E. Both of these combined together into the book of Genesis, especially in chapter 1. We see different repetitions that are somewhat not really the same, okay, like what I've just presented to you. Next is the priestly source. Okay, this is probably around the year 600 or so, or some scholars date it to the time of the Babylonian conquest of the 500s, but some scholars disagree and probably put it a bit too late. And so we have the Yahweh source, the Elohim source, and the priestly source. And next we have the D source, okay, the Deuteronomistic history. So JEPD is what we have, okay, or YEPD according to some commentators, some books. And so the Deuteronomistic historian were the final revisionists, and we get the book of Deuteronomy from there. Probably date to around 400 BCE. And so for 400 years, the Pentateuch were constructed. But Moses, according to most historians, lived around the year to the time of King Ramses II of Egypt, the Pharaoh of Egypt. Is probably around 1200 BCE. And so the Pentateuch was first written 400 years after Moses. And if you start reading the Pentateuch carefully, you analyze them carefully, you read attentively, you learn a little bit about Hebrew, you learn about Elohim, okay, you learn about Yod He Vod He, you start to learn about Hebrew, you learn to speak Hebrew a little bit, you learn to read Hebrew, not speak. You will start to see that the documentary hypothesis actually makes sense, because the Elohim source never use Yod He Vod He. They don't use Yahweh. And the Yahweh source, they don't use Elohim. And so different groups of people wrote the name of God differently. And so this is why scholars believe that this is the Elohim source is different century and the Yahweh source is different century. So I'll see you on my next video.